All right, hello everybody and welcome. I am so glad that you are here for this next episode of Joyful Business TV. So I'm Laura West and I'm host of your show. And I'm also the CEO of the Center for Joyful Business and a creative mindset and business success coach. And for over 20 years, I have been helping conscious, sensitive, creative, ambitious, soulful entrepreneurs really get out there and put their passionate, purposeful work out into the world in a bigger way so that they can make great money while making a difference, really making this world a better place with their work. And what I know is that they're really looking for a way to bust through all of this same old marketing stuff that feels like it might be soul crushing. And they're looking for ways for it to be soul nourishing, where it feels like a pleasure to do the marketing and share themselves with others, share their soul work with other people, and to be able to expand their impact, their leadership, their message out into the world. So I am bringing one such person to you. So this today I want to introduce you to one of my new friends, a relatively new friend, and her name is Amy Getz. She's with IRC Wealth, and she is I call her a unique financial advisor. She focuses on helping people break through their limiting beliefs around money and create a financial plan for the future. So she has all the credentials. She's got all the good stuff that you want for somebody who's going to be helping you with your wealth and to create financial freedom. She's a financial advisor. She's an SEC, which is with IRC Wealth, which is an SEC registered boutique investment firm that's in Atlanta. She's also a CPA and I kind of like this, a certified divorce financial analyst. And Amy is on a mission to educate individuals about their finances and also to empower them to set big goals for their financial future. And what she has said is that she knows that when she lessens that stress loop that's in your mind, then you're able to make better decisions with your finances, and then that elevates everyone around you. And I love what she shares. It feels like a mission statement to me. She says, when wealth is in the hands of good people, that's what changes the world. All right. Hello, Amy. So glad you're
Hello.
here.
Thank you, Laura. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're here today. And I love to feature and highlight people who have a little bit different message than the usual. I know we were talking just a little bit before we started about um, how you got into this place of being a financial advisor, but with a kick is what I like to say, with this unusual, your unusual special sauce. And can you tell us a little more about that special sauce and maybe how you're different from other, like you might have a different approach than other financial advisors?
Yes, I love this question. And I really have leaned into just openly and honestly sharing authentically who I am and how I choose to do business and how I would want someone to do business with me. So, yes, I'm a traditional financial advisor. I help people create financial plans. I invest their money in the stock market and create a lifelong journey with them. I'm in this with them on their journey. We're not transactional. We're looking to develop those relationships and be that financial professional in their life. But what I have realized that people need, because I think if I had to give it a numbers equation, which is what I do, 80% of really that pie of financial freedom is emotions and decision making. Like 20% of it is the numbers. The numbers are the easy part, but people think that's the part that's difficult. Really, if we just dive into your numbers, kind of, we can create a plan for wealth, simple and easy. It's when our emotions, when the decision making gets in the way. So I realize that's the place where we have to spend the most time. We have to figure out what your money story is, where it came from, because most often it's not yours. It's one that was modeled or spoken aloud in your childhood, and you've adopted it as such. So we're trying to break through the money mindset that you need to believe and let go of those limiting beliefs that you maybe have inherited from those around you. And I also lean into just truly owning that I have intuitive gifts to understand how people are feeling, to be able to support them in a way that allows them to be open, to be honest, and to ask the questions that they're not used to being asked in a meeting with a financial professional. So I spend a lot of time on my own personal development. And it was in doing that that I realized that was where I was making leaps and bounds in my business. I wasn't working on my business, I was working on myself. But that's when it started to make sense how I needed to handle the people that I come into
Love that.
contact with. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I love that. It's like when you grow yourself, you grow your business. That's actually the secret to growing your business, especially as an entrepreneur.
oh my gosh. And I can't emphasize that enough because I was doing the things like in a mastermind, to learn all the
Mhm.
funnels and the sales and all of that.
Right.
But what I really got out of that was to expand further into that personal development. So I'm a Reiki master and I work with crystals and I love all of that. And I don't necessarily bring that into a meeting if someone's not comfortable with that. I definitely into it where people are, but I'm able to be
Mhm.
in that space and use that as it works for the people that I come into contact with.
Right. Because it's really what I'm hearing you say, and this is my message too, is it's really about energy alignment, right? That when you're energetically aligned with I want to increase my wealth, when I want to make more money, I want to be a good steward of my money, I want to make, great decisions, then that opens up the possibilities to take the actions. And I really hear that you focus a lot on getting people, whatever the blocks are, getting that out of the way so that they can then take the steps forward to make those decisions.
100% agree. And that is kind of one of the secrets to financial freedom and to wealth. It's truly believing that you deserve it. And
Mhm.
as someone who sees, multiple people every day, I want to say that wealth is for everyone. And it doesn't matter whether you're 18 or 72, you have the opportunity to create wealth for yourself. And I really like to make sure that everyone hears me on that. It's never too late. And I just would encourage everyone to start somewhere, right? Like
Mhm.
start somewhere. And it doesn't
Start
matter
somewhere.
where you are, what you think your financial picture is. The number in your checkbook does not define who you are, and it certainly doesn't define where you're going. That's why the windshield's way bigger than the rear view mirror.
Yes, yes, I love that. I love that. I love that the check your number in your checkbook doesn't define who you are because I think people so often they get up, look at their bank account on their app in the morning, and then they either feel really excited or they feel constricted,
Oh,
and it's so not about that, right? It's so about so much more than that. So, I'm really curious before we get too far down the road. I would love to hear, like, what brought you from, being a CPA and, becoming a financial advisor and then becoming this new sort of financial advisor is really, to me, this is more of a being a pioneer in your field and really listening to your soul tribe and what they're really going through. So, how did you discover this and make this transition?
so it's kind of a twofold story. One, I had this woman that I was working with, and she was such a lovely soul. And she's the reason I actually went forward and got my certified divorce financial analyst because she was going through a divorce, and she was, of course, had not been the one responsible for the money, and she was so defeated. But in walking her through that process, seeing her life post divorce and the success that she could have, and just watching the stress kind of fade off of her, is what allowed me to realize I wanted to have a credential that essentially says, I'm here in this journey with you emotionally, because I feel like that is a little separate than just being a traditional financial advisor.
Mhm.
And having
Absolutely.
that certified divorce financial advisor, how I describe it is that I feel like it allows people to realize that I can hold emotional space in difficult situations, and that could be divorce, that could be during bereavement, that could be during empty nesting. So that's definitely one particular example and reason of why I started to lean more into the emotional piece of the financial advising. And then the second thing is my mentor, the CEO of IRC Wealth, an incredible gentleman, but he is a middle-aged white man. And as my mentor, I was learning from him. I was watching his style and trying to recreate that. And it was when I realized that I had my own gifts. And that's exactly why he hired me, was to have a more feminine presence, to be able to do things differently than him. And when I finally honored that and recognized that I need to do this in a way that feels more authentic to me and who I am, that's really when my business started to turn around. And as we say, the universe just started to send people to me, right? Because I was
Right.
open in the space of being able to hold that space and to really lean into wondering what's underneath. Why are you able to make great money and then not able to save it, not able to invest in yourself?
Hmm.
So that's kind of how.
I love that when you talk about feminine, bringing your feminine presence to wealth, because we don't see that a lot. That's not the traditional way we see it, or that we hear about it. Even the women who are in talking about money tend to have this very masculine kind of approach to it. And, that feels a little like teacher or dad, like, well, we're going to do something wrong, we're going to get caught doing it wrong, right? That's what I get with a lot of my clients. They're so afraid to have those money conversations. So
And I
I
think
love that.
another thing that happens is I am very encouraging for women to be happy and play in the space of for profit. I really want to stop the language of I just need enough, or I'm, to have any sort of lack, because I truly believe from in the depths of my soul that wealthy women change the world. Women, studies show, they give to causes that they don't necessarily have to be associated with. That's
Yeah.
not the same, for a male counterpart, as the studies teach us. And so when I can encourage a woman to really let go of her limiting beliefs and recognize that the more money she has, the better off she can serve not only herself, but the world. And when I get her to start to believe that and to believe it, in her inner core, I think that's truly too when the magic starts to happen and things shift and align in her personal life and in her business to show up in a way for her.
Yes, yes, it's so beautiful that it goes beyond. I think for women in particular, we've been raised, and it's really in our DNA, that we're here for the family, we're here for the community. Like we of course we're going to give back, of course we're going to caretake in all the different ways. It all looks different for every woman, and so I love that you've built that into what it is that you work with your clients on. Amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your, I always like to get behind the scenes of your business, and just, like your day. And so much of what I coach my clients on is about energy alignment, that you have
Mhm.
to be aligned, and you have to align your energy on the inside with here's what I get to do today, and
Yeah.
then showing up day in and day out. As an entrepreneur, um, it is about showing up day in and day out, and you never know where things are going to come in, and really believing and trusting in that future. So, what
Yeah.
kinds of things do you do for yourself to help you align your energy, take care of yourself, and keep yourself showing up day in and day out?
Ooh, I love this question. I'm a bit of a personal development junkie, right?
Mhm.
I'm like,
Yeah, I think we all
self-proclaimed,
can raise our hands that we're
right? I
learners. We
I
just
just
love
got
the next
yeah,
thing.
I just
Give
got
me
back.
an assessment.
I know, exactly. I just got back from the Lewis House Summit of Greatness conference, right? Where there was a lot of inspiration. A few weeks before that, I was in Alaska on a yoga and meditation retreat. So
Mhm.
I really try and spend a lot of time in the quiet of my own mind. I'm, super extroverted. I get to talk to people all day long. I'm absolutely passionate about not only the people, but my subject matter. But I find that I have to take time and space to quiet my own mind. So
Mhm.
I'm leaning into things like daily meditation practices, obviously movement.
Yeah.
I'll occasionally pull a card here and there. I do
I've
love
got my three decks right
I
here.
know,
Which one would you like to
right? Like
do?
exactly. I love to sage and feel like I'm
Mhm.
shifting the space in my environment. I spend a lot of time reading self-development books, but I also remember that so much of life is about play. And I think we get so very, very serious. And I actually am hiring a new person, and she's so excited to start, and she wanted all the tasks that I could give her before she was going to come to our firm. And my task for her was take a vacation, go for a walk. If it feels boring or lazy, do it. Cook
Uh-huh.
something, do a puzzle, like just take
Yeah.
care of yourself. And I said, the most business thing you could do that I will okay is if you wanted to create a vision board, because we all need to have those goals. We all need to take aligned action. But I think if you only focus on the hustle and the grind and not the ease and the flow, then you're just making things a little bit more difficult for
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, I
So,
totally agree. It's that's my approach as well. That it's it's you can do it, the hustle only, but it's not sustainable, and
oh,
it's not going to be as fulfilling or satisfying in the long run. And so, yeah, I love that you encourage her to do those things. That's what we talk about here all the time. Creativity in one area begets creativity in another area. I just had a client who is in from Phoenix, is living temporarily. She's doing like house sitting for her cats while she's working. She's
oh,
in New York City, and she spontaneously put her art in a festival over the weekend. And it's like that creativity has just opened up this whole new well of energy and inspiration and possibility and positivity. So I love that you encourage that in your team.
I do. And honestly, I work with a lot of women who are, creating a 2.0 chapter of their life, right? They've gotten through a divorce. And
Mhm.
so many of them are so
Or
in
3.0 or whatever.
yeah, exactly, whichever version. But they're so in I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. And, very high achieving, very high performing. And they find it odd when I'm like, what? I need you to take a day off and go sit at the pool. Like,
Mhm.
I need you to garden, put your hands in the soil, put your feet on the earth, like
Yeah.
just take a moment. And, there's a fine balance. We have to do the things, we have to show up, and we have to take action. But there's a way that we can do it that is a little bit less um,
Grindy.
aggressive. Yeah. Like, honestly, lean into that feminine, right? Because, as a numbers person, I'm always on the left side of my brain. So it's a choice. I have to make a choice to be more creative and to
Mhm.
kind of get out of that space. But I recognize the value of that choice. And so I encourage others to actually do the things that might seem a little boring or seem a little waste of time-ish. Not boring, I guess that's the wrong word, but if it feels
Or
like a
even,
waste of
yeah.
time,
Actually, if
like,
it makes your heart come alive is where I
yeah,
point to, and
yes,
doing things that might seem kind of crazy. Like I'm going to sit here and dance around my office in between coaching clients.
so
That
good.
gets your energy going, right? And has you access all sorts of wisdom and ideas that you wouldn't ordinarily come up with, right?
Let's be even more specific. If it brings you joy, then
I
you
like that.
definitely need to do more of it. Yeah, walk your dog, like just sit outside, close your eyes and breathe some fresh air for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are some of your favorite things that bring you joy other than
Ooh,
learning and self development?
I really, it's so sad. Like, I love
I'm with you on
self-development,
that.
but I love learning. I'm a seeker of knowledge. I really love quiet time for myself where I can sit on my back deck. Maybe I have a book, or a cold glass of water, and I'm just listening to the birds. That's that small hermit part of me. But then the extrovert part of me loves to go to conferences, go on retreats, connect with
Mhm.
people. I love to be outside walking my dog. I bought some watercolor paints. A blank canvas from my left brain seems very intimidating, but I'm like, lean in. A watercolor, it doesn't have to be perfect. So
Yes.
I'm really trying to do some things that are just for play and fun.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I do that. I have my art journal set up, and in between when I have a long day like today, I have back-to-back coaching calls and interviews and things like that, but in between I go over there and I just do some mark making, and it's just this
Oh,
intuitive process that feels so good to have that paint come off the brush or to glue something down and then walk away from it, and let it
what a
dry and come back later.
great idea. I love
Mhm.
that so much.
Yeah.
Right? Or even have your puzzle set up, right?
Yes.
And in between something, sit down and, do a few pieces or whatever it is that you enjoy. I love that you just have it right there and available.
Yeah, that was
Oh
key for me because otherwise I keep fixing to do it and it doesn't happen.
my
But when I
gosh.
have it right there, yeah, it makes a
Yeah,
difference. Yeah,
absolutely. That's a great suggestion. I'm going to do that.
good,
Thank you.
good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so I have another question because what's arising for me is thinking that, wow, it took a lot of courage for you to make this shift into um, of trying to emulate, the mentors that you were seeing to, oh, really valuing your own authentic style, that feminine presence and wealth. And so, like, how do you find those depths of courage? Like, what is your, to make these courageous moves? Because I think a lot of our audience, it feels courageous to put their voice out there and to share things maybe in a different way that the rest of the Muggle population isn't used to seeing yet.
I am going to answer this really. What's coming to me is that I would dabble, right? I would kind of try it. I would see how it landed. And inevitably people would start to light up. And we can use our intuition to see where it's gonna be needed. But I started to feel like these were the things that I needed to share with a client, or these were the questions that I needed to ask. And then I started to put it out there on some of my closer networking groups, and it was just really well received. And then honestly, what made me go all in was the universe telling me that it was working. I was working with this, you're working with these particular clients. And my tagline is always, it's got to be a hell yeah for me and for you. Like, I want someone to be so jazzed to come work with me. And that's how I want to feel. But it was really when I started getting people to talk more about what they were feeling, to talk more about where their beliefs came from, or to just make it okay. I found the clients were saying yes. And then it was, me saying, all right, I'm going to, take these few days off and go on this retreat. I'm not going to be working on my business. I'm just going to be, working on myself. And then I'd come back and I would have people reaching out. I would have business just seeming to come to me without effort. And every time I do something like a personal development retreat, every time I get back, I'm fascinated by how business just shows up. I'm planting the seeds all year long, but I just personally take it as a sign from the universe that I am on the right and perfect path when I can go and spend a week in Alaska working on myself and come back and have 7 new clients to put on my, pipeline.
Right.
I can't make that up, and I can't argue with that.
Right.
And so it was.
People feel like they have to be right in front of their computer all the time. And I'm always like, you know what? The inspiration, the ideas comes when you're out of the office. Implementation happens when, when you're in the office, but it's the outside the office is where, oh my gosh, where the magic is, right?
Yeah. So it was really just seeing that the more I leaned into this new way of thinking about working with clients, the more clients just kept showing up. So that's how you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You see the signs, and when to me, when you're in that energetic and, aligned energy, it's like things come to you and it doesn't make sense. 1 + 1 is not 2. It's going to Alaska and it comes back and it's 11 or 7 new clients.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And I think honestly, leaning into that, like, there's no logic behind it. We all want to have this logical path and the right and perfect steps, and there aren't any. So just what feels good, and where are you being supported by these unseen forces? And that's the direction you keep following the breadcrumbs in.
Yes, yes. So tell me a little more about that, because I know I am huge into developing your intuition and your connection to source energy and that higher power, universe, God, whatever somebody might call it. But it's that, there is this divine wisdom that we have access to. And so I'm curious, how does that show up for you? How do you cultivate that? How do you use that in your business?
Yeah, honestly, it is being first and foremost open to it. And for the longest time, I felt like I was rather asleep, if you will. Like, there were little things that were synchronicities, but that's what you would say. Oh, it's just a synchronicity. And I didn't give it much.
Right. Isn't that fun? Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's curious. Kind of like, yeah. And then,
I think a lot of us kind of hold them, I know at the beginning it was like, oh, that's kind of fun, that synchronicity. But wow, when you really use them as messages from the universe.
Exactly. But then they became more frequent, and it started to feel more like, what am I missing here? I feel like there's a message here, open up and listen. And it was then when I started to recognize that it's kind of a bizarre way to explain it, but if I'm feeling like I need to say it and it's coming from a place of authenticity and kindness and of the highest service, I recognize that that was the intuitive voice. Start saying those things. And it was fascinating because you would think, oh, I don't know, but that's not right. Maybe that's not what they want to hear. But in the end, it was when I actually recognized that that intuition had been there all the time. I
Mhm.
was just pushing it to the side and kind of logically moving forward at a pace. And even just this weekend, sitting and having a coffee with a woman at the conference and really just feeling very intuitive, like the things that I needed, to say. And I didn't know where they were coming from, but I wasn't trying to define it. And I think that's part of it too, is when you stop trying to figure out why the
Right.
information is coming to you or why the message feels like it needs to be shared, that's when you can really start to tap in, when you stop questioning the why and just kind of honor that it's happening and sit in gratitude that it's there. I think
Hmm.
that's really a pretty
Really
key.
trust. I really hearing you say like trust it, trusting the urges, trusting that it's coming into this moment for a reason. And you may not even know what it is, you know?
No, but if you're in a heart space that is truly in integrity and authenticity, and you're kind of not looking at it or coming at it from any place of ego, but you're having these true, thoughts and feelings that you feel like are going to honor and serve the person that you're with, honor and serve the thoughts,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And I love that because to me, that is the connection, the wisdom that comes in that makes then the rest of our medicine, the business coaching, the financial coaching, financial
Yes.
consulting work, you know?
Yes, I
Yeah.
love that. Absolutely. I love that you kind of connected those dots to
Yeah.
round
Yeah.
it back to,
I,
because
I
you
often,
can lean into all of this, but there are tangible actions that need to be taken for
absolutely.
all of the guidance, right?
Mhm.
It's not just there for collecting. There's got to be implementation as well.
Yes, to
So
me, that's that. I'm always talking about the inner alignment, and then that guides you to the aligned actions that you take outside. And it sounds like that's what you're talking about as well. Yeah, and
absolutely.
and what I find, and it sounds like you think this too, is I often say like I could write anybody a marketing prescription all day long. Here, do these
Mhm.
three things. Call me in the morning. You could do the
Yeah.
same thing. Here's
Yeah.
three things to do with your finances. Call me in the morning. And it's with if we don't do the other stuff, like they'll never do it, right? They just don't do it, right?
Absolutely. Like if you don't actually have them understand why, or even just talk about, and honestly, sometimes depending on the meeting, it's just how do you feel? Like we've
Mhm.
talked about these, tell me how you feel. And most people aren't asked on a regular basis, how do you feel? And then
Right.
have someone truly care about the answer. And so a
Yes.
lot of times we're dealing with some, deep issues, and or we're dealing with some heavy numbers is what it feels like to them, but we're
Right.
getting a plan and we're putting it in place. Okay, well, tell me how this feels, be honest about it. And most of the time it's a relief,
Yeah.
right? And that's what we're going for.
Right.
And I've had a
Right.
lot of women specifically, I work with men and women, but I've had a lot of women specifically, and I kind of feel like I've done my job if they've released by the way of tears on our calls, right? And said, you know, they've had this long held belief, but it really wasn't theirs. And there's really no basis behind it. I've had
Yeah.
a woman who inherited well over $1 million and has never spent a dime of it because
Mm.
she felt like she didn't earn it. And I was like, but your mother wanted you to have this for your highest good.
Right.
Not you're not a placeholder for the next generation of it.
Yeah.
Enjoy some of it yourself. You're such a good and kind person,
Well, it's
you
such a
know.
great story too, because I think you're one of the things you're highlighting is like the numbers almost don't matter, right? Because the same thing with the marketing. It doesn't matter how big your business is. Whenever you're growing or taking brave, courageous actions, the stuff is going to come up. The stories, the beliefs, the thoughts,
Mm,
the disempowering thoughts. And so I hear that it's like we work in similar
yeah.
ways, because
Yes.
that's how people need to do that in order to take the action, right? In order for it to stick and be sustainable and to
Yes.
really have it grow and blossom, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, this is so much fun. I love
I
this
know
conversation, and it goes too fast.
it does. I'm always fascinated too. Like, wait, we've been talking for how long? Right?
Right.
Amazing. Yeah.
Right. Well, please let our audience know, how can they find out more about you? Where can they go? And I think you have a free opportunity for them as well.
I do. I need to say that I love it when people connect with me. I absolutely love it. And this is this hardcore of any sales pressure that you're going to get. I love to have conversations. I am in service to people as it relates to their money, So I would love to offer everyone an opportunity if they have some questions about their finances, they don't have anyone else to ask, or they don't want to ask someone that's in their circle, reach out to me. I'm happy to have a conversation and answer you to the best of my ability. You can find me at Amy W. Getz, Getz Finance on Instagram. I'm Amy Getz on LinkedIn. My company is IRC Wealth. And so that's our website, ircwealth.com. And my email is amy@ircwealth.com. You can find that on the line. So
Super
I'll
easy.
happily share it here. Yeah. So reach out. I have a calendar. We can schedule some time on there and just have a conversation. No
Yeah. I love that.
obligation, no pressure, just a conversation.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. And you're so good at that and making people feel comfortable and welcome. And I've had those conversations as well. And so I can attest to Amy. That's
Thank
why I
you.
wanted to bring Amy to
Thank
everybody
you.
today. Yeah,
Thank you. Yes.
fantastic. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here and for sharing a glimpse into your world. You make it sound so interesting and like, oh, okay, yeah, we can do this.
We
Um,
can.
and that it's really aligned, because I think so often we do so much work in our businesses to have find our authentic voice and to be aligned with our message and the mission that we're up to in the world. And then people get to the money part and they're like, wow, everything starts clamping up again. So I'm glad there are people like you in the world that can help them go further and further and in a way that feels really right for their
Yes.
soul.
That
Yeah.
brings me joy.
Yeah. Yay. And that's what it's all about.
It is. It is.
That when we are we'll close with this, when we are in our joy, so much more is accessible to us, so much more is possible. When we're in our joy, we have access to creativity, solutions, confidence, conviction. We're more likely to stay the course and take that next action and get up the next day and do it again. And so that's why I wanted to bring you people who are big proponents of having a joyful business and being in that joy. So thank you for coming to today's episode and stay tuned for next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this episode of Joyful Business TV. I want to invite you to get more creative strategies and support for growing your business. You can start right now by activating your abundance mindset with a really powerful creative visualization that will help you get into the universal abundance current, one of my favorite things to do. And you'll also get a companion 7-day journal that will help you create a daily habit of co-creating with the universe. These are 2 powerful resources that you can get started right now to help grow your business and activate that abundant mindset. You just go over to activateabundancegift.com.